Okay, welcome back to my channel. Going to do a quick little review of the British Grand Prix FP1, FP2 we just got done watching. So good afternoon in the US and good evening if you're in Europe. So first and foremost, Alex Albon under a lot more pressure now after crashing in FP2. It took maybe only a few minutes after that crash for the announcers to already be talking about suggesting could we be seeing a swap of Gasly and Albon again. Think it's a little bit harsh. He did finish second for time in that practice. However, this is definitely a Red Bull driver that is now under increasing pressure. I think maybe no more by anyone than himself. I know he's really hard on himself right now, but this is the second Grand Prix in a row that we're seeing the announcers really harp on, does Albon have a lot of time left in the seat? I know that Red Bull came out in support of him, but he took a very fast race car and he put it into the wall today. And it does have to be said that that is partially on the driver. So it'll be really interesting to see how he qualifies tomorrow, if they can get this car back up to speed, and how he races this weekend. You have to think that the pressure is on to get on that podium. You worry if he does not get on the podium or makes a mistake this week, it really could be very soon that we're seeing him be swapped back out to AlphaTauri and possibly Pierre Gasly getting another shot in this car. Pierre Gasly's looked pretty good. He had a really solid week 2 weeks ago. If it weren't for some power unit issues, I think that he might have had a really good run. He's looking pretty fast this week in the AlphaTauri, so has he matured? Is he going to get another shot, or is Alex Albon going to finally silence the pressure and rise to the occasion? But FP2, not a good one for Alex Albon. Next up, I want to start off by saying Sergio Perez. I think the whole Formula One world is hoping that you get better soon. We're all really sad about the coronavirus positive test there, but Nico Hulkenberg gets a return and he looks pretty good. So for someone who arrived pretty much just before FP1, they had to create a whole new seat for him overnight, and he had the speed. The Racing Point cars looked fast again, and Hulkenberg, I believe, finished 9th in FP1, and he just finished up 7th in FP2. So going to be really interesting to watch him all weekend, and maybe the week after as well. I'd love to see this be the time that Hulkenberg finally gets on a podium. Maybe a little much to ask for, but fun to see him back and great to see him get another opportunity, albeit under horrible circumstances. And, I'd much rather see Sergio Perez fighting for Racing Point in there with everything going on with Sebastian Vettel. You also wonder if that's going to delay the news on where Vettel ends up next year, because they might want, if he's coming to Racing Point, they might not want to make that announcement while Perez is out with a positive test. So, anyway, interesting to watch Hulkenberg. Sebastian Vettel, speaking of Vettel, he misses all of FP1 with a minor issue in the car. They had to tear apart that Ferrari during FP1 to try and fix what they said was a very minor issue. But then in FP2, they have pedal and brake issues, and he misses the majority of FP2, and he doesn't get any really good lap times in at Silverstone, and the laps he got in didn't look too good. They put soft tires on there at the end, and within 4 or 5 laps, he was sliding all over that racetrack, just had absolutely no front end on that car. So we don't really know where Vettel is. It should be noted that his teammate, Charles Leclerc, looked pretty fast, actually. He was in the top 4, top 5 all day, but we'll see. Vettel didn't get a lot of practice time, and how much is that going to affect him for qualifying tomorrow? It would be disastrous if Ferrari can't get out of Q1 tomorrow. So we'll be watching that one. Back to Racing Point. Lance Stroll looked fantastic today. Finishes 3rd in FP1, tons of speed, and follows it up by leading the way in FP2. He has been really impressive this year. I know the haters want to see Perez and Vettel next year, but Lance Stroll is making a statement right now, in my opinion. Qualified fantastic 2 weeks ago, raced really well. Here he comes out, and he's in the top 3 on the leaderboards for FP1, FP2. If he follows that up with good qualifying tomorrow and a solid GP, I mean, this kid's looking pretty good, and he's young, and I know that there's a lot of questions about him being in that seat, but to me, he looked fantastic today, and that whole team just looks really, really competitive right now. McLaren makes some lunchtime upgrades to their cars, and it looked like it worked. I thought both Carlos Sainz and Lando Norris looked much better in FP2 than they did in FP1. Kind of hard to tell today, as we'll get to the next point in a second, but yeah, they make some upgrades in the middle of those 2 sessions, and it looked like they were much improved. So I'm looking to see them be even faster tomorrow in FP3 and in qualifying. And Carlos Sainz was floating around that 6th, 5th spot today. So maybe we could see one of them sneak a top 5 qualifying position in there. And I also want to say the Renault Racing cars also looked better. They made some upgrades to Daniel Ricciardo's car and left Esteban Ocon alone, and Ricciardo's car did look a lot faster. So we'll see if they make those upgrades to both cars before tomorrow. So FP3 will be interesting to watch for those two drivers. And maybe the biggest takeaway from today's practices, the unusually hot temperatures they're racing at Silverstone by racing this late in the year, and the track temperatures resulted in much slower speeds. Even from FP1 to FP2 as we were later in the day, the speeds were way off from what they were in FP1. Typically, you're looking at 126s probably for the top speeds, and they were running the 130s for a lot of this practice. So really hot temperatures. Tomorrow is probably going to be different track conditions, so we could see some very big variations in speed in FP3 and in qualifying. Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas were both a little off pace. Hamilton, I think, was 5th in FP2 at the end there. And I don't think anybody thinks that's going to be what the result is tomorrow. I fully expect both those Mercedes drivers to be at the top of the leaderboard. But we'll see. Tell me what you thought about the FP1, FP2. And do you think Alex Albon's seat, is this a make or break Grand Prix for him at Silverstone this weekend? Every single time that something like this happens, he's under increased pressure, and they are already talking about a possible swap with Gasly again. So let me know what you think in the comments. If you like this video, please hit subscribe and like, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you.